All right, welcome back inside our studios. Philly Sports Talk, brought to you by Comcast Business. Jason Avant, Markelle Fultz.
Yep, Markelle Fultz.
Just reading Markelle Fultz update.
Markelle Fultz.
Mark Farcetta.
Markelle Fultz just been upgraded.
I can't. But do you see the follow-through?
All-timer.
Yep, that'll be in the rollout. Thank you, Amy.
That's an all-timer, Markelle Fultz.
You're right.
What's happening?
Elton Brand, apparently. We have no idea what's happening. Mark Farcetta, Amy Fiddle with you. We're going to talk about Markelle Fultz coming up, as there is a medical update on his shoulder, as Mark was indicating right there, as Markelle was telling you about. But we're talking a little birds now with Jason Avant, and we talked about the offense, but the defense played pretty well, and that was something we saw in the second half, certainly, of the Giants game 2 weeks ago, and you wondered how they could carry it over. And they had their moments that you were like, okay. Malcolm Jenkins said afterward, yeah, Adrian Peterson found our gap, and he exploited it because he's Adrian Peterson. He's one of the greatest to ever play. It doesn't matter that he's 85 years old. 90-yard touchdown. But other than that, I mean, what, they had like 60-something yards in the second half total? He had like 3 more carries?
Yeah, they still kept
non-existent.
100 yards in that game, which is
That's
ridiculous.
Bizarre, right? So he had 9 carries for 98 yards, right? So 8 carries with 1 yard to carry, and then 1 carry, 90 yards. And on that play, they had 4 guys do the wrong thing, and that's what happens. You give up a touchdown. Adrian still can run. Your speed doesn't go. Your lateral movement and ability goes first. And so the defense is playing well. They're closer to defenders. In the past game, do you notice that? Like, they're closer to people. In the beginning of the year, you would throw an out route, and the guy would be, 10 yards off of him. But now, even Cre'Von LeBlanc, he's near guys. I like that about the young player. They're willing to challenge now. They have nothing to lose. We don't expect that much from them. And the defensive line is actually playing better. When those guys are getting home up front, it makes the game a lot easier. You saw Michael Bennett getting after it. You saw Brandon Graham getting after it. Guys are playing faster. And you know what? When you see the Cowboys play on Thursday night, and they talked about how much they run to the football, that was the message that the Cowboys was giving out on Thursday night. Every defense heard that, and I think the Eagles heard that as well and saw the effort that they were showing, and probably kicked it in gear a little bit this game.
I mean, we saw the play there where there was pressure on Colt McCoy, and he bounded out and then just tripped up, and that's where he broke his fibula right there. So he is out for the season. Then Sanchez came in after that. It was a bizarre trick play there. I don't know why you're running that. But you mentioned some of the guys like a Cre'Von LeBlanc who, a little bit maligned. I mean, there was a practice squad player, and you know why these guys are on the practice squad, but he actually has stepped up. Rasul Douglas is another guy that has stepped up. They really need that help in the secondary. It's been needed for several weeks now. Can they keep it going against a team like the Cowboys, who also love to run, but they have some weapons? We've seen Cole Beasley go crazy against the Eagles in the past.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough challenge. Amari Cooper's playing really good football, and we have to figure out who's going to be the guy that's going to follow him. Is it going to be Sidney Jones? Is it going to be Rasul Douglas? But you have to have someone and a safety over the top, which only hurts us in the run game. So will they continue and keep it up? It all depends on how fast the defensive line can get there, because I'm not depending on the secondary on our team, because I know that we're hurt and I know that we're not as talented in the secondary, but I do know that the defensive line gets paid the most money on the team. We have the most playmakers there, so therefore they should pick up the slack for the secondary. So I'm expecting the defensive line to make up for the secondary.
Highest paid in the league, I think.
As good as Adrian Peterson has been this year, he's still 33 years old, and I'll still take Ezekiel Elliott right now over Adrian Peterson. I think most people would do that. So when you see a 90-yard run by Adrian Peterson, I can't help but fast forward in my mind to Sunday, taking on Ezekiel Elliott. What can the Eagles do to prevent that from really ever happening again? Because as you said, it seemed like 4 or 5 different guys did the wrong thing on that play.
Well, that's just sound football. The coaches are going to go and say, hey, Malcolm Jenkins, play through Jamison Crowder on this play. That was one of the big reasons right at the point of contact. They're choosing edges, and when you choose an edge, you leave a lane, and you leave a bigger lane for the linebackers to make a tackle. When you go through a defender, now it's a shorter space, and the linebackers can make those plays. So it's just sound football. That's a coaching thing. They did great, but besides one play, and that's what can happen with Ezekiel Elliott. Let me give you a little history now.
All right.
4'3" now, Adrian Peterson. So even though he's old, he's still maybe a 4'4", which is still
his speed.
With his speed, he's probably still faster than Ezekiel Elliott right now.
I'm like, they're going to play the same defense against the Cowboys.
Right
I thought that's where you're going.
No, we're not. Just a little bit.
Speed, 4.4 speed.
4.4, 33, probably 4.4 now. Vernon Davis is still running a 4.4. He was a 4.3 back then.
What do you run still?
I started off running a 4.59. I probably run a 4.9 right now.
I run a 9.5, so that's a lot different there on that one. It's a tough matchup, offensively and defensively. You mentioned Amari Cooper. They seem to have really come together a lot right from the jump, and maybe that was one of the more irritating things the last time the Cowboys played the Eagles is that he was right in there, and we got Golden Tate at that point, just like hanging out. Now it seems like it's going to be a little bit more even when it comes to that, but are they going to just have to outscore the Cowboys?
No, I don't think that they will have to outscore them. I think that the Cowboys are still limited on offense. I think Dak Prescott is still limited. He's not a down-the-field thrower. He's a game manager. So if you can kind of stop the run game and you can stay close enough to Amari Cooper, he's not going to make those tight window throws. So with that being said, I don't think there's going to be an outscoring because, look, they played a dynamic game this Thursday and scored 13 points.
Yeah.
Right? And that's good for the Eagles. So I don't think that it's going to be a high scoring game. Both defenses are playing well at this moment. And I think if Carson get outside the box and make some plays, you never know what happens.
One thing for both of you, and it was a little bit tough to watch last night because you're thinking, Mark Sanchez is in there. Send the house, send the kitchen sink. Let's get some pressure on this. But that, of course, then leaves the secondary super exposed. Did that surprise you at all that they didn't maybe blitz a little bit more knowing it was Mark Sanchez? And there was literally no one left. Jordan Reed, I think, was their emergency quarterback.
Yeah, I thought that the
I mean, they get wide, but...
I always want. I mean, I grew up with Jim Johnson running the defense of this team, and Jason, you of course, were playing on the team at the time. So I always love being aggressive on defense. But with this front four, with the way they've been playing, minus Tim Jernigan last night because of back spasms, they were getting after it. Michael Bennett made a play at about the 7-minute mark of the first quarter where he just got through the line of scrimmage and then just let out a yell like no one was going to stop him throughout the game. Ended up making a couple of plays for the Eagles in this one. Fletcher Cox also had a good game. It seems like Brandon Graham is starting to hit a little bit of a stride here. He's getting tackles for loss. He's getting some pressures. He seems like he is really starting to come off that ankle injury that he started the season with rather well. And then you look at some other guys on this team. Chris Long has stepped up, I feel. You're getting some pressure there from your front four. And I used to hate when Jim Schwartz would talk about that because I'm thinking, no, blitz, darn it. Yeah. But they are starting to get that kind of pressure and put guys like Mark
Sanchez.
Why? So you see a punter throw? Body bag game.
With a guy like Mark Sanchez, he's not going to beat you if you drop back in zone coverage. Like when you blitz him, you have to play man-to-man coverage. And that's the easiest thing you can do for a guy that's only been there for 2 weeks. It's easy to say, oh, that's man-to-man. I know where to throw the ball. That's easy. But if you drop back in zone, now he has to go through his reads. So it's actually a smart play by getting pressure with the front four and allowing him to be a bad quarterback, which he's shown.
Give him that opportunity. Give him that opportunity to be a bad quarterback.
That was nice. You couched that very nicely. Mark Sanchez said after the game that it was kind of like being in high school because, first day of high school, he had no idea what was going on. So that's who you want running your team right now, right? The guy who has no idea where his locker is and doesn't know where first period is taking place.